Hey everybody, how we doing? Well, I just changed pasture gates, put everybody out to a new pasture. So everybody's out eating grass, everybody's doing good. And the rams are always down there complaining every time I put the ewes out. They don't get to go with them, so kind of normal procedures. Anyway, been a couple weeks. I thought I better give you updates on what's been happening with the sheep. Not a ton. We have had stuff going on, had a lot of tornadoes going by. I think I was maybe, sorry I got that sun behind you, I forgot about that. I'll try that better. Anyway, I think the closest tornado was probably maybe 15 miles, something like that. So we got by lucky, didn't have anything with that. But I thought I wanted to keep you up on, did some stuff here with the rams. And we're going to talk about catch pins. I think they're very important. I know I've talked about it before, but there's always new subscribers coming in. We got lots of new subscribers coming lately. I want to thank everybody that has subscribed or will subscribe in the future. It really helps. But I like to go over that again one more time if we can. Let's go over here. Let's take a look at the rams first. All right, there's the boys. Stoney, you need to do a little more rubbing to get hair off. The other guys are doing a little better getting hair off than you. Yeah, Taz, you got a little bit on top yet, but you're getting it. Lomax and our white one back there, they both seem to be a little bit better off getting rid of hair. Stoney, you got to work a little bit harder. All right, about the rams, what we're going to talk about there, we did some measurements. Now, I didn't film doing the measurements on the rams, and the main reason is I've done it before. You can see here we had them in once and we were filming a little bit. You really can't see anything. It's hard to see anything because everybody's down there looking for the tape and all that. And to be honest with you, it was a Sunday morning. My daughter and son-in-law had some other stuff they had to do, but they came down to help me with that. And anytime you're shooting video for this, whatever job you have, it takes twice as long. It'll just take twice as long to get it done, and I was in a kind of a hurry that day, so we didn't bother to video any of that. But we did some measurements, and I'd like to say Lomax here has come into the top of the group. As far as horns, he now has the top of the group. We're going to discuss how you measure it, so hang on just a second. Let me hang you up, get my hands free. There we go. Let's talk about how you measure it. Let me get you hang onto this. I don't know, if you've been around with me long enough, you remember the ram Stu. I lost Stu when he was about 18, 19 months old. Hang on, you're crooked, or I'm crooked. One of us is crooked. I lost Stu when he was about 19 months old. So there he is at 19 months. My last remainders of Stu, Taz, and that white ram are both sons from Stu. Stu was a son of Thriller. They're grandsons. When you're measuring for a Gold Star ram, what you're looking at doing, you're getting right up here close, right at the edge of the horn, and you're following the top, and we're coming all the way around. You got to turn them around. You got to come all the way. So we're going to measure length on both sides. We're going to measure around the base, get as tight around the base as we can. And then we're going to come halfway down the horn and measure the circumference again. So we're going to have two length measurements, two measurements at the base, two measurements halfway down, and then we're going to add them all up, and we go by 1/8 of an inch. All right, so if you have like 30 and 1/8 inch or 25 and 3/8 inch, that's the way we're going to set up the measurements. You need a total of 94 inches in order to be a Gold Star ram. So when you add all those 6 measurements up, you get 94 inches, you got a Gold Star ram. All right, in the case of ours, Stoney was a little bit ahead of Lomax the last time we measured. When we measured this time, Lomax has now gone past Stoney. Lomax is sitting at 92 inches. He needs 2 more inches to make his Gold Star. Stoney was either 89 or 90. I don't remember which one it was. And a little bit extra, 89 plus or something, between 89 and 90. So he hasn't grown quite as fast. Lomax is growing faster. The interesting one is Taz. Now, Lomax had 28-inch long horns, and the base, around the base, was a 10-inch base, which is a 10-inch base is a pretty good base on these. And 28 inches of length. Lomax has one horn broke off and then one horn right. The one that's full, that isn't broken, measured 23 inches. He's just 5 inches short, but he also has a 10-inch base. He has the exact same base that Lomax has. Of course, the difference is Lomax is 2 years old, Taz is only 1 year old. So he's 1 year younger. So he tends to be growing a little faster, it looks like. We will measure again this fall. Before I put the rams in, I'm going to measure again this fall. By fall, I think Lomax ought to be qualified for Gold Star. I'd like to think he'd be there. I'm real anxious to see what Taz is by fall. Stony, he's been growing slower, and so he may still not be Gold Star come fall yet. He may still not make that. That doesn't really bother me. All right, now some people, hang on, I want to set this up. Some people get a little concerned about that. I don't. I'm figuring rams are a lot like kids, all right? We have kids, you see, but especially talking kids in sports. You got kids down here that in 7th and 8th grade, just, you know, getting huge or tall or whatever and great for sports. You'll see the next kid, it's not till he's a junior or senior. All of a sudden, boom, he grows about 5 inches in what seems like a year and a half, and he catches up and surpasses everybody else. Rams, I think, are a lot like that. Some rams are going to be slower growing. Some are going to be faster. To me, I don't care. And some are never going to make Gold Star. But to me, I don't care about the rate of growth. All right, and I may be a little bit different in that, because what I'm seeing right now is it's like a race to see who can have their ram make Gold Star the soonest. I got to be under 2 years. I want to be less than that. I want to be, my ram is going to be Gold Star faster than anybody else's. And I don't have a problem with growing horns fast, as long as we don't start compromising the other traits. Let's not compromise parasite resistance, temperament, color, everything else, body form, body shape. I don't want to compromise any of that to get faster horns. If I can have faster horns and then I get all that with it, great. I just don't want to see us as a registry get to a point that we're so concerned that we're trying to get our horns to grow as fast as we can, we're willing to compromise other parts of the traits of the painted desert sheep. You know, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But so when it gets to me, if Stoney's going to be a little bit later than anybody, he'll get there eventually. It might take him 3.5 years or 4 years. Lomax might take him 2.5. Taz might be there in 2. You never know. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we did our measurements. We got that done. And now we'll wait till fall. So we took care of them in the last 2 weeks. The next thing we're going to get onto is I want to talk about the catch pin, because I've been using it a lot lately with working with the ewes and stuff. And I think it's real important, and let's go over why. All right, catch pins. I've said this before, I think they're very important. A good catch pin, you don't get hurt, the sheep doesn't get hurt. But here's the other thing I think you'll run into, why I think a catch pin is so important, and we need a good spot where it's easy to get these sheep in and work on them. And that is, you'll do it. I mean, I've heard people, I don't know how I'm going to get my sheep in, I need to work. And sometimes I think you don't do it. You don't do what you need to do for the sheep as far as medicating or worming or trimming hooves or whatever it is, because it's so hard to get them in. And you have a hard time doing it. So I think it's so important to have a good catch pin, because it'll encourage you to do the proper maintenance, whether they need a vaccination, whether they need a worming, whether they need their feet trimmed or whatever they're going to need. If it's easy to do it, you're going to do it. If it's awful hard to do it, or maybe I can't do it by myself, I don't have a place that's good enough I can do it by myself, I have to wait for help to come. And when I got to wait for help to come, then it takes too long and you don't do it. So to me, that's why I think it's so important. Have a good spot where you can actually do it by yourself. Now, here's my dry lot, and the dry lot is set up this way normally, and they're going here out the pasture, but if I got them locked in, that's closed. So basically what I do, and if you'll see, we're open all the way through. This year, I just been letting them sleep in there. I mean, it cost me a little bedding. I got to clean it out. I got to add some bedding. I've just been letting them sleep in there if they want to. Mainly, we've had a lot of storms, had a lot of rain. I want to make sure they stay dry. So because of that this year, I've been letting them stay in more. And to be honest with you, if they stay in, they're easier to get in. So let's see. Usually what I got is this gate that I set in. I can bring it around real quick. And I just have to set it there and it works. And what I've done is I just have a small deal here that swings. And I have this gate here, and it swings back. And what I end up doing is closing off this area, and now I bring them right in through here. I may have to walk around and bring them around, but then I bring them right in, and we come in right in here. Now, to close them in, if you notice, instead of just a gate, I have a complete door. And this works fine for me. To be honest with you, it works good in the winter because I can close them in the winter time. And if you notice, it's got a hole so you can reach through and grab the latch from the outside. Why the big solid door? For me, a catch pen needs to be solid. Even if we take, well, let's back so we don't get the sun. If I take this gate here, if you notice, there's a gate, and I could put wire on it, or cattle pound, something, but it's solid. And my reasoning is, if a sheep sees a hole, it thinks it can go through it. I've seen sheep on chain link fence. Somehow they think they can fit through that hole in chain link fence. And they hit it as fast as they can. And then when they bounce off, if it's a sheep, the next thing they think is, I wasn't going fast enough. If I go faster, I'll make it through this time. So to me, I want solid wall. Everything is solid here. You got solid walls. Even my built gates on the inside, you can see they're wood. They're solid. They're about 5 feet tall. That just makes it easier, better for the sheep. It's safer. They're not going to try running through the fence all the time. Now, this catch pen happens to be the length of my building. That's 40 feet, and it's about between 9 and 10 feet wide, something like that. So as I'm bringing them in, let me open the door again. Depending what you're doing, catch it so it don't make too much noise. As you're bringing them in, you can figure you can get them in, but the gate's way up there. It's over 20 feet away, and you might lose them. But I have rigged up a rope. I've got a rope right here, and when I pull on this rope, it closes that gate. I don't have a latch on it, but by the time I close it up, I can get up, and I can go ahead and close it up and do it. So by having a rope on that, and that's just hooks in the ceiling. I got one pulley. So there's nothing fancy to that. It's just a rope to do it. Once I have them here, I now have them in an area, this is about 15 or 16 feet by 9 feet. So that gets them part way. But then the next is I go to this gate, and it's all solid. Of course, you can see it don't go all the way, but that's because it has a slider inside. Now, I now have my sheep in about a 6 foot by 9 foot area. And what that means is, even if I'm by myself, I can get in, I can go in there, and I can turn around and close this gate. And this is what we usually do. We close this gate, got to show up, put all our medicines and stuff up here we're needing, and then you go in here, grab what sheep you want, bring them out, put them out on this side. Then we go ahead and doctor or medicate. Or in this case, last fall, I needed to sort out black ones from brown ones, which ones I was going to breed to which ram. So I was able to come here by myself, separate out which ones I wanted, sort them out, and do it all by myself because I have them in such a small area. And that's the key. Get that area as small as you can. Now, when we measured rams, at that point in time we had, I don't have a video, we had 6 rams back in here. It was a little interesting with 6 rams in there because they really didn't all want to be there next to each other like that. But, you know, they're not in there that long, so that works out pretty good. But that's the way I think anything you can do for a catch pen will make things better for you. Better for the sheep all the way around. So It doesn't take much. I'll be honest with you, this is pretty much built. It's all you. Well, you can look at the holes in the tin. It's all built out of used tin. I got a neighbor that we had a hailstorm a few years back. He redid his, but he got to keep the steel. And all my lean-to, all of this lean-to, I had built it all with used steel. I bought some lumber, but I probably couldn't have built all this if I wouldn't have had for the used steel. But yeah, you look around, you find something. You got a corner of a barn, anything. Anything you can do to give you a small area that's easy to get them in. And you know, if you have to have a long alleyway, you know, mine are used to coming in, but say you can't leave yours in at night. So they're not going to be used to coming in and out. Then with fences, you just have to make a small alleyway. I've seen people, I watched sheep people, and they will have gates similar to this or something like this. A cattle panel works. And I have seen them take the area, let's go out here, take this runway area we need to get them up in there, and they bring it down to about 12 or 14 feet or whatever it is. And now you can actually take two people with a cattle panel or some kind of a gate. You could even use, you know, you could have one of these. If you got one of these corral panels, like right here, I've got wire on that. It's just a corral panel or a pipe gate. And two people, you can just walk them. If you got them in front of you, and once you got them in a narrow spot, you just use the gate and it walks them right up. And I've seen people doing that with sheep. It works real well. So if you can't keep them inside, then odds are pretty good that's going to work for you to get them in. Anything for that small spot. So, all right. That's all we really had. I wanted to tell you about the rams, how we did with the guys out there. And as you can see, there's 4. 2 are gone. Sold 2. So we have the 4 that are left. I'm thinking right now, the white ram is a half-brother to Stu, and half-brother to Taz by Stu. I'd like to see maybe put him with a ewe, and I'm going to save back ewe lambs, and so I have a few ewes I'm selling. And the main reason I'm selling is I don't want too many from one genetic. And such as in this situation, I just sold Blackie and her ewe lamb. I have B7s out there. That's Blackie's daughter, and I'm keeping a B7 daughter this year. So I thought I didn't really want Blackie, B7, and her daughter, 3 in the same thing. Same thing goes with Dub. I have Dub. Now, Batgirl is Dub's daughter, but I am saving a ewe lamb from Dub from this year, one of the bottle babies. Well, both the bottle babies are by Dub. I'm keeping one, the other is sold. And I may end up keeping a ewe lamb from Batgirl. So I thought, okay, I don't need 3 or 4 from that. So I sold Batgirl. So I'm keeping Dub only because she's only good on one side to feed. I don't want somebody to do that. I'll keep her and I'll have the bottle babies. So I got to keep Dub. So I'm doing Dub, a daughter, and a granddaughter probably. So that's why Batgirl's gone. I'm selling Batgirl because, again, I don't want 4 or 5 ewes all with the exact same type genetics. I want to kind of spread things out a little bit. And I figure at the time, sell these ewes 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. They still have a lot of years for somebody else. Somebody else can buy them and get a lot of good years. Yeah. All right, the boys are running each other around a little bit. Hey, that's all I got. If we're back next week, great. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.